Hi there. In this video, we will discuss the summary of the 14th chapter of Ibong Adarna, titled The Betrayal Happens Again, from stanzas 404 to 428. We will also study the important events, characters, settings, and the lessons, messages, or implications found in this chapter. Let's begin. In this chapter, the king's deep love for the enchanting Ibong Adarna is highlighted, as he visits it every day. To keep the bird in his palace, he ordered his sons to guard it every night. He reminded them that anyone who neglected their duty and let the bird escape would be held accountable. However, the brothers, Don Pedro, Don Diego, and Don Juan, showed different attitudes toward their duty. Don Pedro hated guarding the bird because, as a prince, he valued his freedom. Don Diego, on the other hand, was always sleepy and bored due to the slow passage of time. Meanwhile, Don Juan found a way to make his task enjoyable by talking to the Ibong Adarna. But Don Pedro and Don Diego planned another betrayal. At first, Don Diego did not want to agree to his brother's plan, but he eventually gave in after Don Pedro promised to make him his right-hand man when he became king. Don Juan fell asleep due to exhaustion and lack of rest because of the importance of his task. Taking advantage of this, Don Pedro and Don Diego released the Ibong Adarna. Now, let's move on to the important events in this chapter. King Fernando ordered his sons, Don Pedro, Don Diego, and Don Juan, to guard the Ibong Adarna at night to ensure it would not escape. Don Pedro was unhappy with his duty as the bird's guard and wanted his freedom as a prince. Don Diego was always sleepy and bored during his watch, so he did not fully focus on his task. Don Juan, despite the difficulty, managed to make his duty enjoyable by talking to the Ibong Adarna. Don Pedro and Don Diego planned a scheme to release the Ibong Adarna while Don Juan was asleep. Important characters: King Fernando, the king of Brabania and father of the three princes. He valued the Ibong Adarna greatly and tasked his sons with guarding it. Don Pedro, the eldest son of King Fernando. He showed no interest in guarding the bird and planned another betrayal against Don Juan. Don Diego, the second son of King Fernando. He was often sleepy and bored during his duty and eventually joined Don Pedro's plan. Don Juan, the youngest son of King Fernando. He diligently guarded the Ibong Adarna but failed in his duty. Ibong Adarna, a magical bird that became the center of the prince's duties and was eventually released by Don Pedro and Don Diego. Let us now proceed to the setting of this chapter. The setting is in the palace of Brabania, where the princes guarded the Ibong Adarna and where Don Juan's brothers betrayed him again. Here are some of the lessons shown in this chapter. Envy and greed push people to do things that harm others, even their own family. It is hard to trust, especially those who have already shown betrayal, so it is important to be careful and vigilant. And that concludes the 14th chapter of Ibong Adarna, titled The Betrayal Happens Again. What did you learn from this lesson? Share your answers in the comments. We also encourage you to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay updated with our future videos. Until next time, thank you for watching.